Of course, we continue to support Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. We continue our contacts on the relevant levels. We analyze the situation in Syria. Russia's position will be formed in regard of what is needed for the stabilization of situation.
These words would be welcome in Damascus because President Assad faces a significant challenge and his political rivals are also ramping up attacks.
I assure you that we will continue this time, and we won't stop fighting until one of two things happens. Either this regime commits to the entire political process to implement the UN Security Council Resolution 2254 until we reach a political transition.
Syria says it has neutralized 1,000 rebels in the last week. But the fact is that this latest offensive has exposed Assad's weaknesses. His military appears weak and underprepared. He has lost control of a strategically significant city. He must contain, if not completely stop the rebels if he has to survive. And for that, he will need help from his allies, Moscow and Tehran. So the forgotten civil war has been reignited. What does it mean for the world? In this case, we don't have to guess. We simply have to look at the last decade because the concerns and the impacts remain the same. Number one is refugees. Syria is the largest refugee crisis in the world. Since the year 2011, more than 14 million people have fled their homes. 14 million. Fresh fighting means more refugees. Concern number two. Syria is a tinderbox of foreign forces. Look at all the countries deployed there. You've got the Russian forces, you've got Iranian militia, you've got Hezbollah fighters, around 900 American soldiers, dozens of Turkish troops, and in the skies, Israeli fighter jets. All these powers are involved in Syria. They have their own strategic goals there. Russia and Iran are fighting for President Assad. They support him. Turkey is backing the rebels, and the US is targeting extremist groups. So different and opposing goals, which make Syria a tinderbox. And finally, concern number three, a possible resurgence of the Islamic State or ISIS. You may remember what happened in the last decade. The Syrian civil war led to instability and chaos. ISIS used that chaos to expand its grip. They set up a caliphate across Syria and Iraq. At one point, ISIS controlled 1/3 of Syrian territory. It became their own kingdom of terror. They plotted attacks from there, radicalized people on the internet, and retreated to safety when attacked. It took a massive multi-nation coalition to defeat the ISIS. But if the fighting escalates again, who knows? ISIS may rise from the ashes. These are the three main concerns for the global community: another refugee crisis, a proxy war, and a resurgent ISIS. Now you can add some of the usual West Asian variables to this, like rising oil prices and more military deployments. Simply put, this is a conflict you should care about. It has global financial and security implications. Now let's meet the main players. First is Turkey. When the anti-Assad protests first broke out in 2011, Ankara supported it. It supported the protesters. President Erdogan of Turkey wanted to topple Bashar al-Assad. He hosted Syrian opposition leaders. He also welcomed 3.6 million Syrian refugees. But Assad was not Erdogan's only enemy in Syria. The country is also home to Kurdish political and military groups. Erdogan considers them to be terrorists. He has launched cross-border attacks on these Kurdish groups. So Turkey's position is quite clear.